right now, you are actually going to practice with me. So listen carefully. You're going to have 45 seconds to turn to the person next to you. I want you to find just couples, 2 people, please. 45 seconds each to talk about a person that you appreciate most in your life right now. You do not need to give a lot of backstory on this person, but I want you to be extremely authentic and be as specific as you can. When it's time to switch to the next person, I will say switch. Okay, there's a lot of you in here, so you have to work with me. And when I want you to come all the way back to me, I'm going to clap twice, and you're going to respond by clapping twice. Very impressive stuff. Let's practice that right now. Oh, amazing. Okay, on your marks, ready, set, go. All right, let's bring it back. Oh, you guys are so good. Let's try one more time. Oh, I knew you could do it. That was fantastic, right? So what I want to point out right now is the energy in the room. That was amazing. We are basically a small to medium company right here. And I want to point out that you can just do this. Like power and simplicity go hand in hand when it comes to appreciation. So I want you to keep that in mind as I give my talk today. So who am I and why do I care so much about this work? This is my life's work. I am obsessed with it. I've been a student of positive psychology for about 14 years. I was emailing Robert Emmons like way back in the day. I was like, please talk to me. I just love this stuff so much. But I found a book called What Happy People Know by Dan Baker when I was 16 years old. And that book changed my life completely. And it was all about the power of appreciation and how amazing it was. And it transformed my life completely and led me on to studying it for the rest of my life. Another pivotal moment was my father. When I was even younger, I remember being at home and listening to my dad come back and be like, I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel appreciated at work. And I was like, that is weird for so many reasons. Number one, my father was not an emotional man. I didn't even know he had emotions. And I was like, oh, okay, that's happening. Okay, right? And then he was really high up. He was a leader in this organization at a really big company. I was like, that's what you care about? Like, that's what you care about. He actually loved the people he worked with, and he loved the product that he was working on. But over and over and over again, he would come back and say, I don't feel appreciated. And it was one of the biggest reasons he ended up leaving this company. And I thought, if my father is struggling with this, clearly other people are probably struggling with it. So that led me to study this for the last decade. I was in research for a really long time. I was looking at the gap between people not having appreciation, really wanting it, and not getting it, right? I was like, how do we close this gap, specifically within organizations? Because then I fell in love with business and people in business, right? It's a crazy idea. But why the gap right there is that I have yet to find a single tool more powerful than appreciation when it comes to changing an organization. Every time I've seen it, every time I've felt it, every time I've experienced it, I have seen people move as far as development goes, not just feet, but miles. And that is an amazing thing to feel and to see, right? Like I haven't found anything else that does this, and that is why I care so much about this topic, and I'm so pumped to be up here to chat with you guys today. So I'm also really here to talk about the how. Like, how the hell do you do this? How do you implement this in an organization? What if I have a really small company? What if I have 20,000 people across the globe? What do you do? What does that look like? So I just want to walk you through some of that and what I've learned and what I've experienced. So in 2013, I was a people development specialist at an accounting firm of roughly 500 people. They hired me to develop their people. Now, in accounting, apparently, perfection is really important. I didn't catch that in my business classes, and accounting just like made me want to cry. So I was like, oh, this is really important. You don't get to like go to a high net worth individual and say like, hey, here's your tax return. I think it's like 85% correct. Are you cool with that? Not gonna fly, right? Super cool for a product. That's absolutely fine when you are striving and working towards a product. But when you are trying to develop people, not the healthiest way to do it. So I just saw this huge gap, this opportunity to really pull people in and like practice appreciation. I was like, how do I do it? I'm one person within this organization. What do I do? How can I build something where they practice? Because appreciation is about practice. Because guess what? It's uncomfortable when you first start. It's super uncomfortable. I'm super cool with being uncomfortable with you and pushing organizations in that way. So I used my environment. I pulled from it. I'm like, what do I know? What can I build? And so I was like, okay, these people are actually hilarious. Like, they're very funny. They have a crazy sense of humor, very quirky, and it was part of who they were. I don't even know if their clients knew how funny they were. They're also really introverted, right? These are accountants. And they're like, yeah, I'll talk to you, but if I can go hide, like, I'd love that. you know? And next, like, they were also very siloed, as a lot of organizations are, and they used email as their primary way of communicating. So with all of these things, I'm like, what do I build? Well, what I built was something called Woolly of the Week. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. I bought 2 fuzzy woolly mammoths, and I brought them to the San Francisco office. And I was like, I'm going to create this like weird story of how they showed up here and what they need. So what would happen is the woolly mammoths would travel around the San Francisco office. So in a given week, I would receive the woolly mammoth, right? And someone would then express their appreciation to me. Say, Kate, I want to say like what I appreciate about you. They'd be authentic, they'd be specific, and that note would go out to the entire San Francisco office. And then at the end of the week, I would have it. I would then give it forward, right? So the following Friday, I would write up the note, and then I would say my appreciation. And it would keep going. So we had these 2 woolly mammoths, hilariously, like moving around the office. And the point of this is I wanted to be sustainable. I wanted to keep moving. This was cross-department and across level. And what was so cool about this was to watch how people interacted. All of a sudden, like, the work started to come to life. You're like, whoa, ACFO is helping audit, the partner's helping the admin. Like, you didn't even know how the work moved. And people would come up to me and be like, Kate, I haven't even gotten a woolly, and this brings a smile to my face every single day. So the woolly was just like the ridiculous part. It was really just to harp on their humor and to bring it to life. And the point of the weekly practice was to just keep practicing. And they got better and better. Every single one we read was making it better. And then also, it wasn't as invasive, right? It wasn't having to be person to person and face to face. This was about really like showing people via email in a way that they, you know, felt comfortable how to express appreciation. And so what happened actually was then the San Jose office wanted one and the Palo Alto office wanted one. And I'm like, I'm only one person still, so how do I do this for the entire company? So I found ambassadors. People like really cared about it. And so I'd already done the heavy lifting with the design of the email and the story, but we made Sharky of the Week down in San Jose, appropriately. And we made Droid of the Week down in Palo Alto. And what I did is I just found people who could be the ambassadors and really keep this work moving. And to this day, it is still happening. It is still going. The managing partner and I see each other often, and he's like, Kate, we've never been more appreciative than we are now. We've never been so open to appreciation, and we're actually so much more comfortable with it than we ever were. So that is an amazing thing for accountants. Well, let's say anybody, but my accountants, I'm so proud of them. But I also want to say context is king here. Like every company I work with, it's just very specific. Everyone has their own context. So how do you honor that? How do you make it work within that? So most recently, I was at Facebook, a very small startup I'm sure you haven't heard of. I was on the leadership development team. And the first second I got there, I was like, holy shit, they make everything so easy, right? They give you food, they do your laundry, they help you do absolutely everything. They walk you across the street, they say hi to you when you walk in the door. I was like, oh my God, right? I was like, but how do I say thank you? How do I say thank you? It just like really bugged me. In the first week, I was like, I don't know how to do this. This is like way too much. And being verbally, like saying thank you wasn't enough. And so it was the one thing I feel like they hadn't quite figured out. So I'm like, okay. What's in my system here? What's in my environment? What can I pull from here? I was like, Woolly of the Week's probably not going to land at Facebook yet. And so I looked around and I saw these vending machines that they had. And there were vending machines literally in like every building for tech stuff, right? If you needed like earbuds or any kind of batteries, tech gear that you needed for your day-to-day work. And I was like, let's do something extremely low tech because these people literally have everything. They are given everything. So I was like, let's put thank you cards inside the vending machines. Right? I know, it's brilliant and so freaking simple. So this sounds so easy, but I had to go then like track down the head of supply chain and then find someone to design the cards because obviously we had to have like design cards. And then let alone like I had no idea how this was actually going to be received. So I did an experiment yet again and I rolled it out in Building 20, which is their largest building within the Menlo Park campus. And then I was like, okay, I should probably tell people what I did to test my theory and see what happened. I sent out a note just saying like, hey guys, this is what I did. I hope you like it. Like go practice your handwriting. We'll see what happens. And then in 2 hours, that post was trending. That post was trending. People were losing their shit. Facebookers were losing their shit over thank you notes. So like, let's just like take a moment and let's just sit on that one for a minute, right? I'm like, you have one of the most advanced tech companies, one of the most fast-paced workplaces I have ever been in, being like, oh my God, mind blown, thank you cards. I did not create thank you cards, right? But this is just pointing at the point of like human connection. Human connection is so important and we crave it no matter how advanced we get. That is what we want. Right? And simplicity is absolutely king here. And they just needed to be reminded because everyone I ever met at Facebook was so kind and so gracious and so generous and wanted so badly to say thank you. And instead of being given stuff all of the time, it was like, hey, go to that vending machine and go say thank you instead. And they were like all about it. So stories started to like pour in. Right? And people were like, oh, I was taking a new hire by the vending machine, and they couldn't believe it, and they just were like so excited that we had thank you cards. Or my family was visiting from India, and I was like, and they didn't even know what to do because there were thank you cards. Like all of these just small stories about how it showed up. Just freaking thank you cards, right? So next, and most recently, I am currently a consultant at a company called The Ready. And I am working with a very big client and predominantly like the leadership teams. And so every single time I am running a leadership offsite or a big leadership team meeting, I'm like, let's practice. Like, you basically don't get away with me if you don't practice appreciation. Like, we're gonna do it. And they crush it every single time, and they have so much to say that's absolutely shown up. And I'm like, why do they have so much to say? It's probably because they haven't said it in like 15 years. Right? And they admit it. They're like, hey, I've been working with this guy for like 25 years and I haven't said this. And I'm like, you are so welcome, right? It's like providing the opportunity, being like giving someone permission. I can't even tell you, just the power of facilitating the space is shockingly powerful. It's so exciting. And one of the best stories that's come out of working with this big client currently is that one day the CIO was in the meeting with quite a few people and she was having a rough day. The fires were stressing everybody out. And she actually ended up being pretty rude to this guy, Gary, in the room, in front of everybody. And I was like, oh, poor Gary, this is terrible. So Gary comes in afterwards. He's like really noticeably upset. And the next week, I'm doing a coaching session with the CIO. And she's like, you know, she's like self-reflective. I don't think I behaved very well. Like, that didn't come off well. I was like, tell me more. And she walks me through it. And then I'm like, hey, you know, maybe like you could just explain that to Gary. I think he would totally understand. And she was like, well, okay. So she ends up calling him and leaving a message. I like, shit you not. 2 hours later, this guy's like 6'5", and he comes like running in. He's like, oh my God, you guys, like slams the door, presses the play button. And there's the CIO saying like, thank you, and I'm so sorry, and I deeply appreciate the work that you have done here. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. And he looks at me with tears in his eyes, and he's like, Kate, he's like, I was always that guy who was like, I don't need to be appreciated. I didn't care about it, but I was so wrong, right? I was so wrong. He's like physically, visibly shaken. And that story has now been like moving and circulating around this entire company. It's like how the CIO is changing the way she shows up and how the rest of the company is showing up. So the point of this is, if I had a slide, I don't make slides, sorry. The 4 things that I feel like are very important that I found that have been super successful. If you're taking notes, this is the moment. Okay, so number 1, right? Being simple. That is like absolutely the key. Be simple. Companies are complicated enough. It is complex enough. Be simple. Use your environment and get creative, right? The clues are already there. It already exists. And you may as well pull from them because it's actually going to allow you to build something that is self-sustaining. That moves me to my 3rd moment. Be self-sustaining. If I can walk away from something and know that it can still move and it can still do its thing, like I feel so great about it. And find people. If you are one person in a 20,000 person company, I guarantee there are other people, right? And then finally, start practicing. And we call it at The Ready, start by starting, right? Experiment, roll it out. Start with one team, start with one section, get success, and then keep rolling it out. If it's not working, roll it back, try something new. But like keep testing it. So the point is that I was never hired to be like, hey, come put appreciation in here. It's my specialty, I'm obsessed with it, but no one ever said that. It's not my full-time job. So anyone can do it. Anyone, every single person in this room could absolutely do it. And I want to encourage you to go and do it because it is like the most wonderful thing to see. And then in conclusion, I think it's just so freaking important that, what was I gonna say? I know, it's like so important that people come to me all of the time around job satisfaction and engagement. And they're like, Kate, like, how do I increase this? How do I like really engage with people? And I want to say, If you keep trying to engage with people's minds, if you keep going after their knowledge work, you will continue to be dissatisfied with the output, right? But if you actually are like, I'm going to engage and go for their heart and their soul and their humanity, that's where the magic is. And the magic is how they create the best work of their lives. Thank you so much.